Well, hi guys. It is Thursday, the 19th of May. Of course, we had rain yesterday, and this is a kind of follow-up video to yesterday's, the plowing video, where I walked down here and I showed you this ground. And like I said, this stuff will break up beautifully. I mean, it's wet, of course. But if you catch this stuff right, when the ground is ready, I should say, this is how it works up. Even this gravelly stuff break up. Well, gravelly looking. Get down here a bit. Now, like I said, this stuff, when it breaks up, it just looks like cubes. It's the strangest, well, prime example. This is how it breaks up. So, this is broke up really good. Now, usually, as a rule of thumb, when it breaks up like this, it usually grows a really good crop. Now, we'll see how that works out. Like I say, you get into this gravelly looking stuff, and you're still in it, just like that. And you start getting into the lighter soil again. There's some of that gravelly stuff. Here you go. Just a few feet away. And it's like it goes from that big pin oak, kind of about to where I am, around like this. And you can kind of see the difference from here to over here. It's funky ground. That's the only thing I can say about it. It's just funky. Hit this once with a disc, and you can see that just looks like gravel laying there. It's just funky soil to deal with. You hit these clods, and I fell over. When they break up, they just go to them little pieces. Like I said, this ground is really different from anything I've farmed in my life. This across the road, I would say the biggest majority of it is like this stuff right here. Behind that tree line, about halfway back to the back tree line back there, You get the front side of it, it's this stuff right here. The back side is like up there. And you can literally tell when you're working it when you get to that line, because the engine RPM changes. It either lightens up on the load or it gets harder to pull. So, like I said, it's kind of unique to this area. And you come about halfway across that field, halfway up, and it's like a diagonal over to about that tree over there that I'm pointing at. And then this side of it's this heavier black stuff like this. And I have a theory on what the soil is, but I'm been told by a few people I'm crazy for that idea. Being that it is so different from everything else that surrounds it, I'm still thinking it's come up from out of the ground. Like I say, it's funny if you can look out there at the color, and then you look up there at the color, it's lighter up top. And that's this whole field, and the backfield is the same way. And it's like if you noticed in the video where I was plowing in the backfield, the tripod and camera were setting level. Because that ground has a slope on it about like that. As does this field. From the corner of the woods back there to where I am, it's dropping. Drops from that corner down, this corner down, to the road down. That's why tile is a waste of time in this. This ground doesn't need tile. Okay? This ground will drain, and drain good, to the point of I'm more worried about erosion than I am water, standing. Okay? So it's a different piece of ground than I've ever farmed. I farmed ground that's 10 miles north of me, 10, 15 miles north. I farmed ground that was 8 miles south. I farmed ground 5, 6 miles east. And there's none of it is anything compared to this stuff. If you look at that, it has a blue-gray tint to that soil. It's a heavier soil. In the video of back there in the woods, by that field back there plowing, if you look in the video, you notice that going that way, west, there's no smoke coming out of the tractor hardly at all. Coming east, up by the woods, where I had, drove through there with truck, skid steer, the backhoe, she looked like a freight train coming down the field the whole way. That's because that's compacted. And I tried to stay off, not go on the same path, just move over a little bit one way or the other. But that's a good indication of how this ground compacts. And why I say no-till is maybe not, it doesn't really work in this soil. The the place next door, they have not turned that ground in any way, done any tillage other than turbo till, and that's 3 inches deep. I bet right now, if you hooked that plow up and went into that field over there, it just slide across the top of the ground. It's compacted. That's one of the reasons no-till does not work in this soil. This soil likes to plow. It likes to be worked up. It kept looser. It will compact easier than a lot of other soils do because it's got a lot of clay in it. And some of you will probably say, well, you didn't go very deep. Well, no, I didn't. What's the sense of bringing up clay? You know? That's 6 inches right there. And that's plenty deep for this ground. Because you get any deeper than that and you're bringing up clay. Clay don't grow anything. It's just a simple matter of fact. So it's kind of in the learning your soils, you notice things, you understand what's going on. Like I said, that right back there showed me a prime example of this soil, of how easily compacted it is. You know, a skid steer is 4,500 pounds. That pickup might weigh 5,500. And if you're not driving on the same exact tracks every time, most ground it won't bother a bit. But this ground, it will compact it. Because it's got a lot of clay in it. Simple as that. This soil right now, if you were to plant in it, and I don't mean this, say this lightly, if you were to plant in this soil right now, and we did not get the rain that they're forecasting for the next few hours, and it got time to dry, wherever you had anything touching the ground and you compact it a little bit, it dries rock hard. It's just a matter of fact. It's just the way this ground is. And whatever you plant, it's done for. Unless you get light rains for like the next week, where it stays moist and whatever you planted has time to come up. You know? But it's funny to watch the video from going up there to here and seeing the changes in this soil right on down to the end of the field. You just don't see that very often. Even this stuff has got that gravelly look to it. No stone in it. If you do find a rock, which if it gets a good rain on it and gets crusty, I'm probably going to walk the field and look for some arrowheads. Because I have found 5 or 6 from about where that combine is, about 3/4 of the way down through here in this area. I'll find arrowheads. I don't know why. And if I find rocks, they're usually granite. Which they say there's no granite in southwest Ohio, but I keep finding, you know, those softball and bigger size rocks that are granite. But I'm gonna call it here, guys. There's no sense. I know I'm fighting the urge to get on the tractor and disc. There's no sense in doing it. I know what this stuff does. Okay. Out where it's kind of green still, that's once with a disc. And that stuff was as tall as the back tire on the, well, that right there. As big as that back tire on the plow back over there. So getting that all turned and dead was the whole point. It's wet. This ground was not dry by any stretch of the imagination. If you watched in the video right down there, you see my tire tread prints every time I turn. Same with the back field. You see my tire treads sinking in. It wasn't dry. And this is the first time this year I was able to do any kind of tillage. Getting back there like I did with the truck and the skid steer, there were a lot of places I was worried about getting stuck, getting back to it. But I got there and I got the job done. So it's definitely a different soils. This stuff is different than anything I've ever seen in my life. I watch a lot of you guys on YouTube. I see a lot of different farms, and I've seen nothing like that is right down there or over there. That stuff is just different in every respect. I'll answer this question. You're probably saying, well, why didn't you come across the road and work this? I know better. We have not had enough dry weather for this stuff to get dry. I can tell you that for a fact. You can get stuck in here real easy. I mean, you can squish it. And right here, over, I guarantee it's wet. But I'm also going to tell you, it'll grow a dandy crop of clover. Don't think it won't. And this, I never put clover in here. It's all wild. But this, you could bale it. In fact, I've asked Jacob several times if he wanted to green chop it. It'd make some dandy feed, I'm telling you. But we'll see you next time, guys. And as always, please comment, rate, and subscribe. We get the dry weather, we'll be in here. So we'll see you next time.